સજાનંદ સ્વામી મહારાજની જય. અક્ષર પુરુષોત્તમ મહારાજની જય. સર્વે ગુણાતીત સ્વરૂપોની જય જય જય. બ્રહ્મ સ્વરૂપ કાકાજી મહારાજ, પપ્પાજી મહારાજ, બંધુ બેલડી શતાબ્દી પર્વ મહોત્સવની જય જય જય. બધાને જય સ્વામિનારાયણ. Thank you, Sunil Uncle and Rita Auntie, for the delicious dinner. I would also like to point out that Sunil Uncle will be, I don't know how many people of you know, but Sunil Uncle will be running for mayorship of Schaumburg town. I understand it's an incredible decision to actually run for public office. It comes with a lot of self-sacrifice. It comes with a lot of hard work and devotion that you have to put towards it. So we wish you all the best, Sunilbhai and Peter Dinkar Uncle, that the best victories come to you. That's a prayer for you. So as Pinkavi mentioned that today is Gunadharan Swami's Pragatya Din. And she referred to the prasangs of Bhagwan, talking about Gunadharan Swami. મહારાજ ગુણાધારણ સ્વામીને પોતાનું ધામ છે એમ કરીને ઘણી કેટલા જે પ્રસંગો છે એની વાત કરતા હતા. In Swaminarayan and specifically Akshar Purushottam philosophy, there are two entities which have sort of like a unique and exclusive significance. So in any system of knowledge, there is certain core truths or core facts, if you will, on which the entire knowledge-based system is built. So in Swaminarayan ontology, we talk about is over here. We have Jeev, Ishwar, Maya, Brahm, Akshar, and Purushottam. In that, the entity of Purushottam, everyone understands, Parabram, that is unique and unparalleled. Similarly, what we learn from Kakaji and Dinkar Uncle is the entity of Mudakshar Murti, which is whose a human manifestation was Gunadharan Swami, is also unique and unparalleled. So there is only two things which are unique and unparalleled in the entire ontological system, and that's Bhagwan Swaminarayan and Anadi Mudakshar Murti Shri Gunadharan Swami. Everything else, there is resemblance, there is qualitative comparisons, and so forth. But these two entities are left as uncomparable. That's how our philosophy is. So the manifestation of such an entity is as big and as tremendous as God's own manifestation, right? Bhagwan ji Hari Jayanti hoy, evo જ આ દિવસનો કે શરદ પૂર્ણિમાનો દિવસનો મહિમા કથા. Some people will also say it is even more because through Gunadharan Swami we can understand the glory of God. So we'll not go too much into the philosophy of Mudakshar Murti and Akshar Purushottam, but probably go into some of the human exploits of Gunadharan Swami. As a human being, in his human form, in his human manifestation, what qualities he lived with and what qualities he propounded. So if there were to be like, I guess this perhaps summarizes really nice, if there was like a resume, everyone has a resume, and we put like the first thing of the resume is your career summary, and then there is like a quick one or two sentence in terms of summarizing what the person is about, and so here's like a resume line for Gunadharan Swami. That Gunadharan Swami was a master in the art of handling people. And what we mean by here is just not handling and managing people and administration and so forth, but actually art of inspiring, art of making people into whole. Manas ne manas banavo. That's what he was, most skillful at. He was an expert in administrative affairs. So in terms of running an organization, in terms of running a mandir, or in this case, running a whole faith, how to actually organize and propagate a faith. That's what he is skilled at. It's an immense quality. But above all, he was in constant loving communion with Bhagwan Swaminarayan. And that is the quality I will talk about a bit more today. Gurunadan Swami's, Achitan Brahmachari, he was a very, close devotee. He was a very learned sadhu, a devotee of Gurunadan Swami. He composed a slok, which we always sing, before we read, Swami Nivato, and Shankaranka sings this very nicely and melodiously. Mahadhyanabhyasam vidabdadamajashram bhagavata pavitre sampraptam स्थितिमतिवरैकान्तिक वरुषे सदानन्दं सारं परमहरिवार्तां व्यसनिनं गुणातीतानन्दं मुनिवरमहं नौमि सततम्. And the first word of this slok is Mahadhyanabhyasam. The one who has perfected the science of dhyan, that's the one who is constantly in dhyan, and that's how the first word comes up as. And I remember long time back, Dinkaranga had a whole speech just explaining Mahadhyanabhyasam, And this is one of the unique qualities of Gurunadan Swami, that he's in constant and continuous communion with God, and loving communion with God, When there is a philosopher, I was reading this somewhere, that there is 4 or 5 stages in progression of a soul. How a soul progresses. So the first stage of the soul, spiritual progression, is awakening. કે જે આત્મા છે જે એ જાગૃત થાય છે, કે અવેક થાય છે, જે અવેર થાય છે. Today at work we were talking to someone about just consciousness, and he was saying that very well remember, it was a colleague of mine, he was very young, and he said, I realized that I am seeing something. What I'm seeing, he says he was able to distinguish between the seen and the seer. The first time he got that recognition, and so he was talking about that. So the first step is awakening of the soul. કે soul જાગૃત થાય છે. There's something is, કે આપણે આ નથી, હું બીજું, there's some concept of who am I, એ જાગૃત થાય છે. That's the first level in spiritual progression. The second is purification of the soul, the shuddhikaran of the soul. The shuddhikaran is basically letting go of all the perceived weaknesses, drawbacks, and faults that we associate with ourselves, letting go of those. There's a purification of the soul. The third is illumination, okay, prakash of the soul, an enlightenment, where illumination corresponds to knowledge, where the soul is knowledgeable about how affair of the things are, about itself, about the nature of God, and about the whole creation around it. Soul ne આખું એક જ્ઞાન કે illumination, enlightenment થાય છે. The fourth one after that is pretty interesting, which Kakaji used to say, and I was very amazed to read this. He says, the dark night of the soul, which Kakaji used to say, કે પ્રકાશમય અંધકાર. જે પ્રકાશ થયો, એના પછી when someone flashes bright light in your eyes, there is a blinding effect that the light creates, So it's the blinding effect after the illumination, કે પ્રકાશમય અંધકાર, And the fifth one is what this philosopher says is the union with God, કે ભગવાન સાથેનું એકતા, કે ભગવાન સાથેનું જોડાણ. Union is જોડાણ with ભગવાન. That constant and very strong union with God, It's not something that ke આપણે મળ્યા, we meet people at work and we part, It's not something like that. Union means when you're united with that person, and there is no breaking of that relationship, So that's the final level of the progression of the soul. These are the 5 levels that this philosopher was saying. And there's the union of God, union with God. So Gunadan Swami's most startling quality or most startling attribute, or one liner, if you can, one sentence would be his union with God. That's his outstanding attribute. And it was very clear before even. And how would you say that? How would you? I mean, one thing is Gunadan Swami says it. It's one it's one aspect. But Bhagwan himself used to say this. So one of the most earlier times was this is the very first time ગુણાદાનંદ સ્વામી's ફાધર ભોળાનાથજી શ્રીજી મહારાજના દર્શન કરવા માટે મૂળજીને લઈ જાય છે, ગુણાદાન સ્વામીને લઈ જાય છે અને ઇન્ટ્રોડ્યુસ કરાવે છે કે મારો દીકરો છે, મૂળજી છે. તો ભગવાન કે મને ઓળખે છે. એટલે ભોળાનાથજી વોઝ કન્ફ્યુઝ બટ કાઇન્ડ ઓફ સરપ્રાઇઝ ઓર સ્ટાર્ટલ કે this is the first time I'm introducing him કે ભગવાન મને ઓળખે છે એટલે કઈ રીતે કીધું. So Bhagwan says that I know him. And he said, Murji is my eternal devotee, but you cannot see that with your physical eye. He is my choicest devotee, and even for a fraction of a second, he does not forget me. And when he was in mother's womb, or even before and after, he has been in constant loving communion with me. This is the first introduction, the first meeting of Bhagwan Swaminarayan with Murji, and he's saying that okay, this is how he is, And that speaks to what, the entity that Murji imbibed, In Vachanamrut, there are several places where Bhagwan has talked about quality of a devotee having loving relationship with God. A person having love for God, ina su lakshan chhe, And that's one of the aspects I want to talk about, that Gunadan Swami's loving communion with God, in our attributes as per the Vachanamrut. So the first thing that Bhagwan says in Vachanamrut, that someone having love for God, for that person, everything else is worthless. Now, sometimes it also relates to love in real life. જેને કોઈને પ્રેમ થઈ ગયો છે, બીજું કઈ દુનિયામાં there's nothing else matters in the world, And how many people can claim that? Sapna, you better raise your hand. Where is he? So how many people have that loving connection, right? I mean, and they've experienced that love, And so there's a prasang from Gunadan Swami's time that another devotee of Gunadan Swami was Shivlalji said. It was, Dingonos many times explained, he would be to the likes of maybe, Bill Gates or, Jeff Bezos of our time. He was that rich. He was that wealthy in India. His dad was in by diamonds business, right? Diamond. Shivlal said, father was in diamonds business, right? Or so in jewelry and all of those precious things. But he was wealthy, extremely wealthy. Let's say that, right? And he was at, so Bhagwan Swaminarayan had given Agna that every devotee should spend at least a month in Junagadh every year, વર્ષે એક માસ રે કરવો જુનાગઢે નિવાસ રહે. So Bhagwan Swaminarayan gave that Agna. So every devotee would, come and stay there for a month, And Shivlal Seth was there, was, doing his month at Junagadh. And I think it must be afternoon time, things were slow at the temple, so he decided to go to the market. And when he went to the market, I think he purchased some gold, because he was in this business, so he could realize the value. And he said, oh, this is a really good price. So he purchased it and then he sold it, and he made, I think he made like 500 rupees or something like that. And with that, then he sponsored the food and everything else. And it was a pretty big amount, 500 rupees at that time, And but everyone told Gunadan Swami, because see, Shivlalji is such a generous person, See, he went there, he made this money, and he donated it right away. He's such a generous person. Swami had a different level, and specifically for Shivlal Seth, he goes to Shivlal Seth, કે તમને ઢૂસા લઈને ઢૂસા વેચવાનું મન થયું? Did you get a thought of buying dirt and reselling dirt? And he says, this is what you have done, Because Swami was saying that you have come here on, I think the modern terminology for this, you are on a sabbatical leave here, right? At Junagadh temple, You have a certain agenda and focus that you have come with, and you let go from that focus and engage in your habitual pattern of buying and trading, it's like it's not worth it. So nothing else. This is just a material thing, but nothing ever mattered to Gunadhan Swami in front of or in comparison to Bhagwan. The second is the person having intense love for God is in tune with his commands and his wishes, and renounces everything instantly. Tatkad, in Shikshapatri, Dingarangal explains, that વ્યવહારનું કામ છે એ બીજાને પૂછીને કરવું, પણ આધ્યાત્મિક કામ તત્કાળ, we have to do it right away, And in Gunadhan Swami's time, Bhagwan was visiting Bhadra, I believe, and Gunadhan Swami he was working at the fields. He found out that Bhagwan has come, and he goes to see his darshan, And Bhagwan says, Brahmatej Sukhai Rejo Sadhuram. He says something like that. Okay? In this universe, people's spirituality is drying out, and basically Bhagwan saw that he came from the farmlands. This is your job, what are you doing? So Gunadhan Swami right away at that point leaves with Bhagwan, and he joins him, and Bhagwan said, Avi jai cha. Dingal explains that he doesn't even go back to his farm to tie up his bullocks or sort out things. It's not like, hey, let me go and log out from my computer screen, I mean, he right away he left, Even, a lot of times I'm not Dingarangal Mandir Ave, and I'm typing something, and I feel like I should get up right now, but, there's this conflict that goes up, I should leave right away, and I want to finish this, but that tension goes up. But for Gunadhan Swami, that was not a thing, he just left right away, And when he goes with Gunadhan Swami, Bhagwan says કે તમે તમારું બધું ઘર બધું બાળીને આવ્યા, તમારો વ્યવહાર બાળીને આવ્યા. So Gunadhan Swami again bows down and leaves. What is this going on? So Muktanand Swami gets really concerned. Swami Bhagwan એમ કીધું કે did you burn everything? Did you burn all your possessions and then come? So, and Gunadhan Swami right away, ના સ્વામી ભૂલી ગયો કે આવું છું ને, he right away leaves. He bows down to God and leaves. And it seems like a very extreme gesture, but this is his an indication of his love towards Bhagwan Swaminarayan. So Muktanand Swami goes, Swami, સાધુ તો બહુ, મૂળજી તો બહુ જ ભોળા છે, સાચે બાળીને આવશે, તમે પાછા લાવો, બોલાવો. So Bhagwan calls him back and, hey, come, પાછા બોલાવે છે. And so Gunadhan Swami પાછા આવે છે, અને મુક્તાનંદ સ્વામી પૂછે કે મહારાજ તો ખાલી સિમ્બોલિકલી કહેતા હતા, પણ સ્વામી કહે છે કે મને I didn't have anything, I had no attachments to begin with. So the only thing left for me was physical. And since Bhagwan is saying that, hey, have you burnt everything? I felt that the only thing that is left for me to do is to burn it really physical. And that's how he left, So it's, again, even Muktanand Swami's estimation about him, and what he thinks is it's completely, sort of, out of norm, And that's, again, so in terms of one of the qualities is in tune with his God's commands and renounces everything instantly, The Bhagwan Swaminarayan had told Gunadhan Swami to go and take care of the Mahant of Junagadh Mandir. And he went when it was in the formation, when things are being formed, like, when there is a, like, કોઈ નવું જ business ચાલુ થતો હોય, કોઈ નવો store ચાલુ કરતો હોય, you do everything, You are doing inventory, you are doing payroll, you are doing, checking the cashiers, you are cleaning everything, right? That's how you start a new store. When you start, that's, as a proprietor, that's what you do. As a entrepreneur, that's what you do. But Gunadhan Swami had, ભગવાને આપ્યું છે કે નિયમ કે મારે જુનાગઢ મંદિરનું મહંતાય, I have to actually serve administratively this temple. So till his end of his life, we know this prasang that, Gunadhan Swami was sweeping the mandir courtyard, and one sadhu comes in and says, "Yahan ka mahant kaun hai?" And Gunadhan Swami goes, "Please go have a seat and I'll call him." And then he goes and has a seat, and then Gunadhan Swami comes and sees him, and then he was so shocked that, oh my God, such a mahant, such a leader of this temple, a CEO of this company, and you are actually you're brooming the front yard, the courtyard of the temple. It was, and we know that prasang. But what was very interesting, which I found was a fact, was Uncle, that this prasang happened at the time when Gunadan Swami was 76 years old. 76 varas. He's as 1 year older than Dingarangal, 76-year-old, and he had already been at the administrative post of Gunadan Temple, of Junagadh Temple, for 34 years. 34 વર્ષ સુધી એ મંદિરમાં સેવા કરી હતી અને પોતાની ઉંમર પણ 76 વર્ષ હતી. At that time, he still had that same eagerness. He had the same humility. He had the same devotion to please God, And that is remarkable. The third thing is always eager to sing or hear the glory of God. Even if he's extremely tired or has a painful disease or is mercilessly humiliated, he immediately becomes oblivious of all of his weariness, his pain, his humiliation, all of that disappear on talking or hearing about God. Now, I haven't had, extreme pain, but થોડો પણ તાવ આવ્યો હોય અને કહો કે ભાઈ આપણે કથા વાર્તા કરવાની છે કે સાંભળવાની છે કે નહીં, હવે આ તબિયત ઓછી છે, મન નહીં લાગે, ફોકસ નહીં થાય, I won't be able to focus, let me rest. It's always good to, you convince yourself, it's always good to rest and be focused when you listen, But what Bhagwan is saying is that person's, all of his tiredness, his weaknesses, everything drops out when it comes to listening or talking about God, And again, it goes back to, Swami had asked Bhagwan Swaminarayan that, what should he focus on, And, Dingan always gives example that Swami is showing a very high, leadership skill. When you go to your boss, don't go with a problem, kungsu karu. Go with solutions. So he says, should I do Manda Sadhuni Seva? Should I do, Dhyan? Should I do should I stay Atma Bhav, or should I talk about the glory of God? And Bhagwan, right away, Mahimani Vato Karvi. And that's what Bhagwan gave. And Swami, after that, started that. And it is said that in Junagadh, 24/7, there's Katha Varta. Sometimes we feel that in Chicago, Monday, there's a lot of Katha Varta. We have so many Sabha. Sabha in the morning, Sabha in the evening, Sabha on Saturday, on Sunday. 24/7, guys. It was no joke in Junagadh. But that's how much he valued Bhagwan's agna. કે ભગવાને આજ્ઞા કરી છે કે કથા વાર્તા કરવી, તો કોઈ દિવસ સોપો પડવા દીધો નથી કથા વાર્તામાં. So another quality, that eager to hear and talk about God's discourses. Also from Gunadan Swami's own childhood time, Swami came from a farmer family, and he had another friend, Nishkuran Swami, Lalji Sutar, who came from the carpenter family. And they used to live several miles apart, I think. And they used to do their regular day jobs. And in the night, they would meet halfway to come and talk and listen about God. They would come and talk about God, about philosophy, about religion, and everything, They'll come halfway. They would walk about a couple of hours to meet, the talk until late night, and then go back, and in the early morning start the routine, And they used to do this every day during their life, So all this hard work, like people who work with, I know Vijay comes home, because his work at KPS is a little bit physically tiring, It's, bichara અમુક વાર આમ આવીને સોફા પર ફ્લેટ થઈ ગયો, સૂઈ ગયો, And imagine, we have desk jobs, so we don't know about physical tiredness. But imagine someone having physical tiredness, taking a physical journey, and then talk about God, So again, nothing physically comes in the way when it comes to the topic of talking and listening to God's glory. Then the fourth topic is the person who has love for God, he appreciates and is drawn towards all of his acts and works. And even in his human form, he never perceives a fault and always sees them as redemptive. કે ભગવાનના સ્વરૂપમાં અખંડ નિર્દોષ બુદ્ધિ, કે આ અખંડ દિવ્ય ભાવ. સ્વામીને એટલું બધું had so much attraction towards God and his divine form. He didn't see God as a human being, as a face. He actually saw him as in his divine form. And there are so many prasangs that, there was, Swami, we have seen this picture, that there is rain falling and Swami is standing in the rain for God's darshan. And the situation is like Bhagwan is actually going to talk. There is a women's quarter, and there is a Sabha over there, and Bhagwan is coming from that Sabha, and it's late night, and it's raining really heavily, and Bhagwan's it's pitch dark. You can hardly see anything, but Swami is standing there in the dark to have this one glimpse of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, and there is a lightning that occurs, and that's the glimpse, and that's what he's standing for. The time lapse of a lightning. That's what he's there and waiting in the range to see him. And that much drive, I guess, he had towards Bhagwan, And number 5 is, which is of course what we talked about, is this unbroken loving communion with God. He would not think of anything other than God even for a moment, And in Swami's life, there is a prasang, it comes, that Swami is actually binding a book. And bind karta book niche padi jai che. Right, Swami? A book niche padi jai che. And Swami કહે છે કે એ નીચે પડી એટલો પણ portion, it fell down. He didn't want to even go and tie the book back again, because that he felt that there was something that was, there may be some sort of break in God, so he would say, I don't want to do this, He would tell, and I have this prasang with Dingar uncle as well, Bhagatji Maharaj and Jaga Swami, when they were being seva, he would ask them, the murti mein rahine seva karo cho, It's all of his number one thing is do everything in remaining in murti. I remember me and Amit Bhai were once doing the dishes. And we were just talking about that, about the prasang of Bhagatji Maharaj. And Dingaranga comes from the back, beta bhajan karta seva karvi, and then he walks away, But there is a tremendous stress that he has put in his life, and he has also stressed on the people that followed him to have this constant focus that whatever we do, that whatever we think of, always bring God in front, always think God of first, and do that, So there is also examples that when Bhagwan used to leave, Bhagwan would be on the horse, and Swami would be running backwards to have his darshan, Imagine running backwards on someone riding a horse, I don't think it's possible, But he used to be so much, he had so much drive to have Bhagwan's darshan that he would go through all of these things which are seemingly humanly impossible, And so it's not the last one. The sixth one is, of course, the quality of someone having love for God is that he becomes one with God, when he is actually completely united with God, And during Swami's time, there was one devotee, Swami was talking about Bhagwan's glory and Bhagwan's mahima. And it happens all the time with, happened to me as well, a lot of times. When Dingar uncle talks about Kakaji and, and his glory. So that devotee goes to Gurunath Swami that, Swami, I feel sometimes I'm unfortunate that I didn't get to physically see Bhagwan, that I didn't get to physically see God, And then Swami, out of his grace and compassion, he says, you have met God. When I give you darshan, bless and embrace you, it is God. It is God who is doing it. It is my only outer appearance that is of a sadhu. But Maharaj and I are one. કે ભગવાન મારામાં અખંડ એવા રહ્યા છે અને અમારામાં એવી એકતા અને અદ્વિતીયતા છે. There is a nice bhajan which I would conclude with is, I don't know the lines, but it goes like this. મીઠા વાલા કેમ વિસરું તમથી બાંધેલ તન રે, જેમ માછલાને પાલી ડોવાનું, જેમ માછલાને પાણી ડોવાલો, તેમ જેમ ભૂખ્યાને ભોજન, જેમ ભૂખ્યાને ભોજન રે, મીઠા વાલા કેમ વિસરું તમને તમથી બાંધેલ તન રે. That was the life of Gurunath Swami, that he was continuously and constantly bound with Bhagwan Swaminarayan. And we pray to Dingar uncle that our love, our devotion for God, for you grows in this direction. And with that blessings, I seek for your blessings and end my speech. Thank you. Sajan Swami Maharaj Ni Jai.